Good evening and welcome to Rabble Rouser Media. My name is Patrick Duff, and we're going to get a little something that people are asking questions about. Something that we're going to do a little educational thing here. It's going to be about a 10-minute video here on face masks and the efficacy and science behind face masks. Now, first of all, let's just take a look at this picture here so we can kind of figure out what's going on. And I'll give you a couple examples of what I'm talking about. First of all, let's go to the back here. That guy, obviously, if he sneezed, that lady would be covered with his snot. So the choice of the style, while I'm sure made him feel more comfortable, he could snot somebody up. But is that important is the question. Is the snot important? I mean, snot is important. Or is it snot important? So, but you can see also the side of his mouth is open. The bottom of his chin is going to be open from that. You know, nose hanging out. This lady here, whole side of her face. So just picture this. When you breathe outwards, right? You breathe outwards. Do you think the air just stops when it hits the mask? It doesn't just stop. It goes through those big gaps in her cheek, in her chin, near her nose, in her eyes. And actually, you're breathing back in the viruses. So if you have a flu shot, right, and that's in your body, you are going to be breathing back and recirculating that flu in your body. Now, these two could be in trouble. They might be CIA, FBI, because they do have the required N95 masks that will help filter slightly better, but still will not filter out a virus, okay? So it's the size of the particulates that matter. This dude here, let's admit it, he's just like, what the fucking fuck? Mask is hanging off. He's kind of upset. You know why he's upset? Because he thought that the U.S. Attorney General or the Surgeon General was going to be right if we could take these masks off. Surgeon General a couple days ago warned against wearing masks, and he's right. He says the U.S. Surgeon General said that it increases the risk, okay, of a contracting COVID-19. And stop buying masks. Mike Pence said the same thing. Now listen, I don't normally agree with Mike Pence, but I can tell you there's science behind this, folks. Let's go to the science. Okay, so this is a nice article that is literally has, and I'm going to show you, we'll go to the bottom here, how many physicians it has attached to this. So you have literally the references here. There's 36 different references that you can go through and about masks and what they do. So let's just kind of go to the top here and see what it says. Why face masks don't work. A revealing review. I don't really have to go much further, but we can. It's basically talking about the SARS virus. Let's go through and let's go down a little bit. But for the past 3 decades, there has been minimal opposition to what have become seemingly established and accepted infection control recommendations. In 2009, infection control doctor or specialist Dr. Diekma questioned the validity of these by asking what actual frontline hospital-based infection control experience were available to such authoritative organizations as the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the Occupational Safety and Health Association, and the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health. In the same year, while commenting on guidelines for face masks, Dr. M. Rupp of the Society of Healthcare Epidemiology of America noted that some of the practices relating to infection control have been in place for decades and haven't been subjected to the same strenuous investigation that, for instance, a new medicine might be subjected to. He opined that perhaps it is the relative cheapness and apparent safety of face masks that has prevented them from undergoing the extensive studies that should be required for any quality improvement device. So there's no real studies. There's no real studies, they're saying here. Here we go. Covering the nose and mouth for infection control standards started in the early 1900s when a German physician, Karl Flug, discovered that exhaled droplets could transmit tuberculosis. The science regarding the aerosol transmissions of infectious diseases has, for years, been based on what is now appreciated to be very outmoded research and overly simplistic interpretation of the data. That's pretty clear. Modern studies are employing sensitive instruments and interpretive techniques to better understand the size and distribution of potential infectious aerosol particles. Such knowledge is paramount to appreciating the limitations of face masks, meaning they don't have that knowledge yet. Nevertheless, it is the historical understanding of droplet and airborne transmission that has driven the long-standing and continuing tradition of masks among the health professionals. In 2014, the nursing profession was implored to stop using practice interventions that are based on tradition, but instead adopt protocols that are based on critical evaluations and available evidence. Now, it's kind of hardcore. A December 2015 article in the National Post seems to ascribe Dr. Gardam, Director of Infection and Prevention Control, Toronto University Health Network, to quote, "I need to choose which stupid, arbitrary infection controls rules I'm going to push." So I don't think he likes the masks. So I'm going to go to another article here. This is from the New York Times, and it says very clearly here, "In the midst of the swine flu scare, people around the world have been photographed wearing surgical masks in hope of protecting themselves from exposure. But it appears that the wrong people are wearing the masks. The flimsy masks do little to protect the wearer from contracting the flu virus. A surgical mask can, however, potentially limit the spread of influenza if the sick person is wearing it, according to research presented by the Interscience Conference on Antimicrobial Agents." It says, "If you are wearing a mask to prevent yourself from catching it, they are not so effective," said Dr. M. Lindsay Grayson, professor of medicine of University Melbourne and one of the study's co-authors. "But if you're sick with the flu and coughing and sputtering, those masks do prevent you from spraying those bugs everywhere. So sick people should wear masks," is what they're saying here. See? So I'm going to go one further here. Look, data do not back cloth masks to limit COVID-19. Oh, directly from the, going right after COVID here. Limited and indirect evidence from lab studies suggests that homemade fabric masks may capture large respiratory droplets, but there is no evidence they impede the transmission of aerosols implicated in the spread of COVID-19, according to a paper published yesterday by the National Academy of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine. So there you have it. The mask, this guy right here, I think, let's just admit it, this guy's face says it all right here. That is how I feel, okay? That's how I think a lot of people feel. And I think when he saw that the Surgeon General, was going to come out and say you don't need to wear the mask, he was like, "That's my man," and then boom. And this guy, come on. Come on. How's that going to protect anything, guys? What are we doing here?